to fight for it. Prepare for battle.
How does ketamine work with RSD?
That's a very complicated answer, but I can kind of simplify it for most people.
Okay.
RSD, of course, stands for reflex sympathetic dystrophy.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep it as simple as I can, the sympathetic nervous system, everybody's got one, and nobody's in control of it. It is the nervous system that is responsible for things like your heart rate, your blood pressure, responses to stress, etc. You can't sit down and consciously say, I'm going to set my heart rate at 50.
Right.
You can try, but you can't do it.
Right.
It's a nervous system that you cannot exert any sort of control over.
Okay.
In a lot of instances of chronic pain, usually triggered by an initial traumatic injury or something of that sort, when the brain sees pain impulses for a prolonged period of time, it recruits the sympathetic nervous system to assist in this interpretation of pain.
Okay.
Problem with that is you have no control over that nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's been recruited, it just keeps firing.
It's in control.
So that's why you get this constant nagging, burning, extreme pain, and you can't do a thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in any control over it. Also, the opiate medications can work to help relieve it to a certain point, but they're relieving it not by doing any kind of blockade of the impulse, but by just blocking other receptors in your brain
Okay.
where you interpret the pain.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is your brain, then seeing all this as now the new normal, starts to do what's called upregulation of the receptors in the brain. It makes more of those receptors. Your brain is a very plastic organ, and anytime it sees something that it sees as normal, it will try and do more of that.
Okay.
The most important receptor in RSD is called the NMDA receptor, N-methyl-D-aspartame receptor. As you get more of those, your pain experience is worse.
Okay.
If you can block those, it limits or eliminates your experience of the pain. Ketamine is a very potent NMDA blocker. Among
Okay.
the other 100 things ketamine is capable of doing, depending on dose and administration, all that, it absolutely is an NMDA blocker.
That makes a lot of sense.
If you can block the NMDA receptors for a period of time, the brain now goes, well, gee, I guess those pain impulses weren't normal, and it will start to downregulate the number of NMDA receptors that you have back to normal. And that's why it's often referred to as rebooting the brain or resetting the brain.
That's what I've
You
heard.
literally are resetting the number of receptors by using a direct blocking agent, which also, by the way, happens to have potent analgesic properties in addition to its NMDA blockade.